Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to the grand finale of PSGL Season 40 for PS5 F3 Division. After months of intense racing, countless storylines and breathtaking moments, it all comes down to the wire here. 36 laps of pure drama here in Interlagos, Brazil, where the championships are crowned and legacies are written. The iconic Autodrome Brazilian Grand Prix driver circuit in every sense, a 4.3-kilometer rollercoaster of elevation, rhythm and bravery from the swooping CRS at turn 1 to the technical infield and the flat-out charge through Junsao and up the hill towards the line 2. Every corner invites risk and punishment and hesitation, with every tire wear, unpredictable weather and close quarters racing guaranteed. Brazil always delivers fireworks. And speaking of fireworks, the Drivers' Championship has reached a dramatic crescendo. Luke leads the way on 63 points, still searching for that first elusive win of the season, despite not standing on the top step at all this season. His relentless consistency has carried him towards the top end of the field, a testament to resilience and calm under pressure. And right behind is Ward, sits on 53 points, just 10 points behind. Like Luke, Ward has been landing fast all season, but still hasn't quite turned his pace into victory. He just took second in the championship after Las Vegas. A heartbreak DNF in Hungary and another non-finishing Kota dented his campaign, but a brilliant recovery drive in recent rounds means he's still within a fighting chance of the championship. And there's Stefano as well, just 1 point further back at 52, a race winner this season and one of the most dynamic drivers on the grid. Stefano has shown speed, aggression and intelligence in equal measure. After his podium in Las Vegas, he's right there in the mix, a dark horse who could still steal the crown if the Kelso falls ahead of us. The Constructors' Championship also reached climax tonight too. McLaren, Artem and Diogo Silva lead with 225 points, a commanding gap built on teamwork and relentless points finishes, including Jeroen Visser's promotion up to F1 after the third race this season. Haas, Polymachi and Luke trail by 39 points behind, while Alpine and Sauber remain locked in a fierce fight for the final spot on the podium in the standings. It's been a season of twists and unpredictability, from Jeroen Visser's dominant triple win before moving up to F1 to Matier Manga return to form and the rise of reserves like Leon, who took a stunning victory in Las Vegas. Every race has delivered a new storyline, but now it all comes down to this. One race, one champion. As the sun sets over Sao Paulo for the grid lines up for the final time, the tension couldn't be higher. Luke, Ward and Stefano, 3 drivers separated by a single heartbeat, all within a shot of the championship. This is PSGL F3 Season 40 finale. Welcome to Brazil, where dreams are realised, hearts are broken, and the history will be made tonight. My name is Jay Morris, taking you through this qualifying and the race session. And alongside me tonight is Milan Alanga. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing very good, thank you very much, and it's great to be back. And of course, on one hand, I would have loved to have Mexico as with 2 more races, but on the other hand, having Brazil as the season finale surely is something magical. It always provided great action when it was the season finale in real life F1, and it might be the greatest track to be hosting as a season finale. But I'm looking forward to what we're going to see tonight and who is going to be able to take that championship. If Luke is going to be able to hold on despite not winning a single race, or he might even win tonight, who knows? And we're speaking of him, he has just started his first flying lap in the Haas, making his way through the CRSs and out of turn 3 onto the second DRS straight, leading all the way up in towards turn 4, a very fast left-hander, but a very corner where it's very easy to run out just a little bit too wide and pick yourself up a track limit or an invalidation. Wards sets the fastest lap so far at 106.9 already in the 106s on his banker lap, as Luke makes his way towards the second sector, the trickiest, the twistiest part of the track, left to right hairpins in succession, and now into the braking zone of turn 10, where we saw that famous moment between Hamilton and Albon back in 2019, and now flat out through the corner of turn 11 and in towards the final braking zone on this track. Turn 12, have to get a really good exit out of it, as it leads you on to this big start-finish straight. First through these flat out kings, Stefano goes second place with a 107.4, but here comes Luke towards the line. His first lap on the board is going to be a 106.850, and he beats Wards by just over a tenth of a second.
He does. And Paul's lap time in F2 was a 6.5. So what? We are 3/10 off the best time so far in F2 as three drivers in the top three. Napoli goes up into third place in the kick Sauber there as well. He hasn't had the best of season, has Napoli so far. His highlight so far this season was back in the British GP when he qualified in P3. But he's back there again as Diogo Silva goes up into P5 in the McLaren as Polymacchi now makes it a 1-2 for Haas. It's a 6.694 and he is going to be very crucial in the race too as Nick goes up into P2 in the Red Bull. But Polymacchi, he unfortunately collided with Nick in towards turn 2 back at Las Vegas and again on the penultimate lap of the race in Vegas too, as Tico goes up into P4 as well in the Racing Bull. But Polymacchi is going to be a crucial asset for Luke in terms of the championship. He needs to be there. He needs to help Luke every single point this season as well, or in this race, I must say, because Waltz is there in P5, but so far advantage Luke. And you know what's funny as well? If Luke does win this championship without any wins, that'll be quite a standing and a stat to make and also to show off as well. So if he can do that, that'll be a mega achievement. And look at the times as well, separated by 5 thousandths of a second between himself and Tijo in P4. Of course, the Dutchman has been on pole 2 times this season, but unfortunately couldn't convert those poles into wins after contact has been made as well. And his own making down towards turn number 12 back in Las Vegas. He just went straight off the track and unfortunately rejoined the back of the field. And more contact was involved as well with Nick in towards the chicane in the first sector, so that really that ruined his race as well. True, and Lucas is up into P6 in the Alpine with a 7.0, and we know he hasn't had form this season, but back in Japan, both RPs took a double 1-2, two double podium with 2 and 3, so quite an achievement for them. And Lucas as well hasn't really been there this season, but he definitely showed some good pace back at the Japanese Grand Prix. Alp in the Mercedes is up into P7. He took his debut back at, I think it was the USA Grand Prix, as we have 2 new drivers, Mercedes, both Williams has left as well in terms of Lars van der Linden and Keke. Lars took a podium as well, and Keke won back at the British GP, but unfortunately those two haven't shown up here tonight, as we see all the drivers then returning to the pit lane after the first rounds have been completed. So far, it's Polymacchi on pole. Polymacchi as well took pole back at the USA Grand Prix in Kota, not Las Vegas, and he dominated the race too. And it really shows what could have been for Polymacchi as well. It's one of those seasons of if and when's, etc. But unfortunately for him, he's had a downer with internet connection issues and drama in the past few races. But his pace has been relentless so far in terms of consistency as well, and getting himself out of trouble at the same time. So what could he have done in terms of the championship if everything went his way? Because early on in the season, we did talk about him having internet connection issues, even to Joe in the chat. Hopefully you're doing all right. And finally as well, for once this season, Milan, it's a full grid, which you haven't seen for quite a long time. But of course, it's the final race of the season, so why not? Let's have a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's just wonderful way to end off the season. In the meantime, Dome was out on the lap in the Mercedes, but unfortunately made a mistake through turn 12 at the inside curb and lost a lot of time and eventually backed off. So that's why he's back in the pit lane in the Mercedes. And the 2 Williams drivers are the only cars out on track right now, before just Benjamin comes out in the Ferrari as well. The 2 Williams drivers a bit out of sync down to 17 and 18, haven't set a lap time just yet, but Schlaf is the first one to start his flying lap right now, and Alès a bit further down to start-finish straight with just over 10 minutes remaining. It is Polymacchi on pole position, and the entire field down towards Stefano in P15 is between 7.5 tenths of a second. Surprised to see Stefano down there, so he must have made some sort of mistake on his lap. I'm sure he's going to be able to go much quicker than that. But we're right on board with the Williams drivers, making his way towards turn 417.6 through the first sector. Keep an eye on his teammate behind, Alès, who has shown some great pace as well in previous races this season. Slav has encountered some traffic up ahead. That's one of the kick Saubers. Let's hope he's going to get out of the way in time. No, he is not, and that is impeding there by one of the Saubers, and it is Ward, in fact. And that is not great news in his championship fight, because he might get a penalty coming his way after the race. So quite a controversial moment there, as Ward in the way completely there of Slav in the Williams. And that is of course why he's have to back off on his lap. Unless in the other Williams, he is making his way in towards the final sector. Let's see what he is going to be able to do. Of course, Slav is going to cross the line, but a 108.4. Of course, he's going to be able to go much quicker than that. He for sure lost a few tenths of a second with that moment. And what about his teammate, who is going to cross the line now for 106.9, puts it in P5, just behind Tigo and just ahead of Wards. As more drives out on the lap though, as Benjamin in the Ferrari is making his way through the second sector, currently set down in P9, just over half a second off Polymacchi's time, which at the moment is still good enough to put him on pole position by just over a tenth of a second. But Benjamin is improving by 1.5 tenths through the middle sector. So if he completes his throws the final sector as well, it could be up to P7, maybe P6. If he finds some more time down the start-finish straight, Ferrari driver is going to cross the line and he's going to go up to P7 with a minor improvement. But Polimachi is on pole position right now and he's going on outlap and he's just about to start his second flying lap.
Indeed, then, as Ward and the kick Sauber goes up into P6 there. No, he's coming through John Sauber. I've looked at the wrong Sauber. It was, I think, Napoli going through turn 1 and turn 2. They said the rest is. But on board the boards, he's currently a few hundreds up in his plus sector. And that moment as well, during turn 7 at Ferradura, that's the last thing he needs as well. The last thing he needs in terms of a championship fight to be penalised after a Grand Prix. And now he's up into P3 with a 6.803. He's 2,000 slower and shy of Nick's performance in P2. Nick's had great qualifying, but could have converted it into a race win. As Luke, or a good result, I must say, as Luke goes up into P2 in the Haas, and it's a Haas 1-2 so far. The absolute dream start the Haas needs as well. And Polimachi currently occupies first place, but unfortunately he does invalidate on his lap. Benjamin, we saw him race back in Las Vegas. He was in the Williams along with Leon, and if you remember, that safety car came out caused by Mattia Mango, who does retire for qualifying, presumably with a qualifying ban after DNF at I think it was turn 12 he DNF'd, and Benjamin was caught up behind his teammate because they had to do a double stack. He lost a whole amount of places and fell out of the top 10. I think he finished in P9 in the Grand Prix with all that chaos going on and all the commotion that was in front of us during the Grand Prix too, as Benjamin were looking to bounce back after the race. He had great pace as well to be amongst the rest of the pack, and we'll see what his progress is as well. As Wars is coming into the pit lane then, as he just completed that lap time, as Lucas goes up into P3 in the Alpine. That's a mega lap time once again from Alpine, but unfortunately the wrong time of the season, the back end of the season, where some people gives us a few surprises where their pace just gets each bit better and better and better, but unfortunately they've not been there throughout the whole season. Vettel goes up into P10 in the Ferrari, as his best result of the season, I think it was at the Imola Grand Prix when he finished in 4th place just behind Lars van der Linden on old dying tyres. And Vettel has been a contending midfield driver as well in the Ferrari. We haven't really seen much of him so far. He has been lingering just around like the 10th place area, just outside of it too. He is a driver where he is currently in the midfield quite a lot, as well as Thiago in the Alpine spins the car at turn 4 and locks up and goes off the track. Is he beached? He's beached. I think he might have to reset track. No, he doesn't. He keeps going, but Nick goes quickest in the Red Bull. It's a 6.651, and he extends the margin by just under 400 of a second there, as we watch Thiago get back on the circuit there without having to reset track. I think there is a rule where you can reset track only if you're beached, because there's no way. But here comes Polimachi towards line. He goes. It's going to be pole position for the Haas driver. It could be his second pole of the season, and he beats the Red Bull only by a few hundreds there too, but separated first and second. It's tiny margins around this short track, and so far Nick is in a Haas Italian sandwich there in P2, and let's see what Tijo can do in the RB. He's been super competitive and quick all season long, but like I said, just been caught up in unfortunate midfield and mayhem. He's about to start his second flying lap in the Racing Bull after validating the first one. So here he is, down towards the centre resters. It can be very difficult as well. Take a lot of curve through turn 2 and turn 3 as well, trying to maximise every single part of the racetrack. He's taken a very acute line going towards turn 3, just cuts the apex as much as he can for the shortest distance, as we end the first sector by 70.0, half a tenth up in the first sector. As we exit turn 4, turn 5, can be difficult on the outside too if you take a lot of curb. Now coming towards, I think it's Ferradura through 6 and 7. It used to be flat out, but I'm not quite sure if these drivers have the confidence to go flat out now. As we head towards the slow speed technical parts of the racetrack, it's all about being patient and just get the throttle at the right time. Be very smooth in this part of the track as well. Just don't overdo it, because the rear tyres can overheat quite quickly. Lock up here, and it goes deep in towards the corner where we saw Lewis Hamilton and Alex Albon make contact back in 2019, which gives Carlos Sainz his first podium for McLaren, and Pierre Gasly's first podium too for, I think it was Toro Rosso, not Racing Bull, sorry. As here we go with the DRS wide open on the main straight we go. Let's see if the Dutchman can improve, and the answer is no, as he heads back in the pit lane. Majority of drivers are in the pit lane waiting for the final moments here in qualifying.
Two drivers out on track though, and including that is Thiago in the Alpine. He's improving in the middle sector, currently set down in P14, just over 6/10 of a second. But what is this lap that could bring a P7 with a good lap time, 106.9? And what can Schlaf do? We had a moment early on. He's improving by 7/8 of a second. He improves his time by 8/10, but he unfortunately stays down in P17, just within 1 second of Polimacci. So only Dome in the Mercedes needs to set a representative lap time. And Devils, I don't know if he's going out, haven't seen him on track yet in this session, but besides that, everyone is out in the pit lane, and Alès is going out of sync once again, like he did with his first stint in what it was. Just got just under 4 minutes to go in this session, and Polimacci still is out in front by 26 thousandths of a second towards Nick, and Luke is in a very handy position. Of course, Ward is there in P5. Stefano is a bit further down in P9. 3.5 tenths of a second right now off pole position time, as Alès is going to start his second flying lap, going in towards turn 1 in the Williams into the center. As it's a bit wide through turn 1. Might have compromised his exit a little bit in towards turn 2 now, getting narrow to the inside curb as usual. McLaren on the left hand side gets out of the way as he gets the first detection point, improving by 3 thousandths of a second through the first sector. Of course, it's something, it's very close in this field. The entire top 10 is within 4/10 of a second, so every thousandth of a second counts here in qualifying tonight. As Alès is making his way through turns 6, 7 and 8 in towards the braking zone. Bit wide though on exit, bit of a moment as well, as the back end wanting to step out there. Might have lost a bit more time with that. Let's see if he's lost as he goes towards turn 10, and then flat out on the exit towards that turn 12 braking zone. Williams driver making his way towards the final sector. He's now down by 1 thousandth of a second, so he's up by 3 thousandths in the first one, and now down by 1 thousandth after the second one. So I do wonder if he's going to be able to find any time in the final sector, which only consists of basically one corner and the entirety of the start-finish straight. The Williams driver is going to cross the line, and he doesn't improve by 7 thousandths of a second, so setting a near identical lap time on his second run. Very impressive, as Luca behind in the McLaren is starting his flying up. Benjamin has done so as well in the Ferrari. He's making his way out through turn 6, 7 and down to the braking zone of turn 8, very tighter on the inside. And when we're controlled, then we saw Alès do in Williams just now on the exit going towards turn 10 in the Ferrari. Let's see how he's going to tackle the exit uphill a little bit there, and now flat out on the inside as far as possible, going towards the final chicane. His final corner is over 2/10 of a second up in the middle sector. If he improves this, he might be on for the second row, unless he finds some more time in the final sector. Benjamin, currently set down in P10, has shown some great pace at Las Vegas. He is going to improve to the second row with P4 106.7, 11 thousandths of a second behind Luke, with a great lap time there for Benjamin, as our top two have started flying left, but Polimacci has backed up immediately. But Nick is on the lap as well. Can he beat Polimacci at this stage of qualifying on his final run? He only needs to find a quarter of a tenth of a second, but he's going to be able to improve as he comes down the second detection point. He's level on his first lap time with the exact same second sector split. He needs to gain everything in this final sector. It's not much, but can he do it as he deploys the battery, uses the DRS, and he's going to get the run to the line? Nick, is he going to be able to improve? Yes, he is. 106.603, and he beats Polimacci by 200ths of a second. But I think Polimacci still got time to start the flying lap after this.
Here we go on board with the Haas of Luke then as he negotiates turn 9 and turn 10 in towards this right hand. We go just open the exit back of the throttle once again. It's very easy as there's a little bit of a dent in the track as we head through this flat tire left hander of Magulio headed down in towards Judson. He's up by 1,000 of a second there. Is Luke just chucking everything at it? Is the Haas driver. The championship is on the line for him as he makes his way out of the final couple of corners. It's a straight run as Tijo goes to pole. It's a 6.582. But here comes the Haas of Luke. What can he do in the Haas? It's only P4. He's up by 800 of a second, so big improvement in the final sector, but stationary, stays where he is for the time being behind Polimacci as Benjamin retires in the pit lane. Vessel goes up into P6. Great qualifying there for both Ferraris, up into 6th place there. We've got plenty of drivers on the circuit to about to complete a lap time as Adam is very happy to chat. Tijo's performances this season has been absolutely mega. A standout drive for me and definitely a talented one as well. But here comes the RB, the LP goes up into P11. That's Stefano in P11, so he's in big trouble. The driver in P4 in the Drivers' Championship as Nick has retired too. Here comes Polimacci towards the end of this middle sector. He's up by almost a tenth of a second. He's guaranteed almost take pole position away from Ticho. May need to find a bit more time in his final pole qualifier, but here we go. The DRS wide open. Can the Haasman get himself back on pole position? We're about to find out right now, and he can.
Yes.
It's a 6.522, and it's another pole position this season for Polimachi. He took his first one back in USA Kota, and he's done it again in Brazil with a 6.5. Currently, I think he's exactly 600 quicker than Ticho in P2. But what about other people? Vessel, great qualifying for P6 there. Lucas in P7, and that's about it. Then qualifying is done and dusted then as... yeah, that is it. Don't, unfortunately, P18, but here he is. But he's without fuel and also invalidated too. Both Aston Martin drivers started at the back of the field. Mattia Manga was at the high back to the Japanese Grand Prix, but he took a victory. Then retired back in Las Vegas and a qualifying band too. And will start at the back of the field with Devils as well. So both Aston Martins in P19 and P20. But here we go then. That's the championship then. Spiced up for the Grand Prix. Wards is down in P8. There's a lot of work for Wards to do. But Luke, all he needs to do to win this championship, I think, is finish the top 4, no matter what's finished, even if he wins the race. But the pole lap position, the pole fastest lap point goes towards Polimachi wants to get in first place. So that's the fastest lap for him. That's the points for him for first place. But we move on to the 36 lap race. It's going to be a spectacular one. And there it is. Then the qualifying results. Why don't I reach you through what's the outcome needs to be for each driver to try and get that lucrative championship as well. But there it is, Polimachi and Paul, Ticho and Nick, the two Dutchmen in P2 and P3. They're followed by a vast majority of Italian drivers too. But here we go then. If Luke finishes P4 better, he is champion, even if Wards wins with pole. But I don't think Wards hasn't got pole position. If Luke has pole, Luke is champion. If Luke to finish in P5, he is a champion. But if Luke finishes in 6th place, Wards must win to win the championship still. Sorry, this is a bit confusing there. I had it all up, but it got tangled up with something else. So if Luke finishes in the top 4, then he's championship. But if he's champion, but if Wards needs to be champion, he needs a win and Luke to finish in P5, P7, P2. If Luke is P8 or further down. So it's very important for Wards to finish and win the race because he's currently 10 points behind is Wards as well. So it can be quite difficult to win the championship. And Luke, all he needs to do is keep it nice and clean. No need to get tangled up in mistakes. He just needs to finish around the radius of Wards and Stefano. Then he's definitely confirmed champion. But I think he might need to take a cautious approach tonight because, yes, he would love to win his first race this season, but he also would love to get that all-important championship as well. And if he does win the championship without a race win this season, what a mega achievement as well. I know Juventus dominated the first 3 races of the season, but Devon says Wards for world champion. Well, it's going to be a difficult task there, considering the points in the gap between those two. 10 points you get for first place. If you finish in first, you get 16, second for 12, third for 10. So it's very pivotal that Wards finishes around above the top 3, and also for Luke to finish down about P7 and P8. So there's those scenarios for you. It's going to be a difficult task. I think Luke needs to have a major problem. And Devon says he's my buddy. He can't lose. He could lock in. Exactly. But if he wants to win the championship, then Luke needs to have a mistake. I think Stefano as well, down to P11, unlikely to win the championship as well. But it could be a difficult task for him down there in P11. He needs something major to happen. A lot of drama in the Grand Prix for him to win his championship. But Milan, who do you think is going to win the championship, mate?
Well, I've got my bets on Luke. He's in the best position in qualifying. He's in the best position in the race. And with Wards down in P8 and Stefano down in P11, they need to hope for some sort of miracle. It's going to be absolute chaos for them in order to able to clinch that title. But of course, if Luke gets spun around at the start, for example, and he's back at the back of the grid, then all opportunities are open again for Wards and Stefano. But yeah, at the moment, Luke, for me, he's in the best position, and if he just plays it safe throughout this race, I think it should be enough for him to win, because I really don't see Wards or Stefano winning this race unless something crazy happens. And of course, Malachi is there in P1 as well. He can help his teammate out. And Wards, his teammate's down in P12. Stefano's teammate, he's there in P2 as well, Ticho. So who knows what team games might be played in this race. But Luke, he's in P4. He just needs to finish there. That's all.
Indeed it is then. The race will start very soon. And what a championship battle we had on our hands. The top two not winning the Grand Prix this season. They both had a bit of up and down season, it must be said. Every single driver has as well, with Luke having DNFs and also DNS as well. He had a DNF at the very first race of the season in Austria as well when he crashed. And Wards, he DNF'd in Hungary at turn 4, lap 1. And he also DNF'd back at the USA Grand Prix where he failed to capitalise and get points on Luke whilst Luke was absent as well. So they both had a topsy-turvy situation in the championship. But furthermore, he's been super, super consistent. That consistency and gathering them points every single race is what mattered the most, despite not having the pace to win the race. He's been so close to winning the race as well, taking 3 poles this season, has Luke, but just couldn't quite converge it into a win, whether like Autumn or Stefano have stopped him from winning races, especially back in Hungary and in Qatar, when I think Stefano had a major tyre offset against him, and also Autumn as well. Don't let me remind the Hungarian Grand Prix of Wards, the instant of Wards. Oh yeah. Punish about that one for the Wards fans there. Of course, he DNF back in Hungary. And it's been a shame, though, because Wards has had good chances throughout the whole season, but it's just been so unlucky, and it makes or breaks the championship. But today, need to keep it nice, clean, and absolutely clinical. And I really hope that we can end it in a really good championship fight without any drama whatsoever. Of course, there's going to be team games between Luke Polimacci as well. Maybe Polimacci might let Luke win his first race season. Who knows? What about Nick in P2, who could be a bit of a menace this season as well, and has definitely caused a lot of drivers damage as well and incidents. And good luck to the guys commentator. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much for that comment. But yeah, what about Nick in P2? It could be a worrying sign for those drivers, because we've seen plenty of times that the Red Bulls lost an end play, and I really hope that he doesn't get involved in anybody's championship. Or yeah, it's going to be a difficult one there. Bob Pierre all the way back in field too after not having any practice whatsoever. He said to me that it's the first time loaded up the game to try and host the lobby, so that's why he hasn't had any practice at all. But Bob Pierre, who picked up a podium back at the Belgian Grand Prix, almost won there too, but of course Jeroen Visser took the victory, and he's been promoted up to F2 as well. Jeroen Visser, I think he's still 3rd or 4th, but the light's about to go away for the final race of the season. We are underway here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Polimacci gets the line to start, but here comes Luke as well on the inside of the Red Bull, as it's 2 abreast behind us between the Red Bull and the RB, going through turn 2 and turn 3. Luke, Nick and Tijo are side by side. Oh, contact there as Nick goes off the track. More contact as well, and Nick drifts on the curb there. But behind us, we're 3 abreast with Luke, Benjamin and Lucas headed down in towards turn 4, towards the Red Posture Straight. Let's see what happens. There's contact, and the Ferrari goes off the track there. He bounced over the curb, and he goes very wide too. That's Luke, but Luke's fallen down into P5. He was involved in that contact when 3 of them went 3 abreast in towards turn 4, but thankfully he's still in P5. Where is Wards? He's down in P8. He's defending for the Red Bull on Bob Pierre. Nick has dropped backwards. What a horrendous start once again for Nick down there in P10. Look at Luca as well on the inside of the Williams. Those two make contact there as well as we head down in towards turn 10. The Aston Martin tries to do a double overtake. He slides in towards the corner, and there's more contact as well between all those guys as they get super close and almost put each other in the walls there as well. There's an end plate lost. Oh my goodness me, that's not what we want to see whatsoever. And he goes off into the barriers and causes a safety car. That is Ales at the Grand Prix, and a safety car or VSC has been deployed. I think it is a VSC on lap 1, as I think the Aston Martin and Ales had unfortunately got into contact there, and he lost his temper and drove straight to the wall.
Yeah, that's of course not what you want to see, but what a chaotic start that was VSC to temporarily neutralize this race. But I forgot to mention, what a start from Stefano. P11 on the grid, and he's in P4 right now, ahead of Luke, who started in P4. So a brilliant start from Stefano, and it's exactly what he needs if he wants to have any shot at this championship still. Ward's still down here in P8, and Luke has lost long position due to that moment with, I think it was Benjamin down towards turn 4. Benjamin's lost the most. He's down in P19. But there's, of course, cars behind, and there's a drive-through for Luke!
No!
Luke! That's got a drive-through penalty! Oh, and Polimacci gets overtaken by Tijo, but this is huge for the championship.
It is huge, the championship. Luke really makes mistakes, but this is a big mistake there for Luke. He has picked up a drive-through penalty. All he needs to do is keep it clean. He needs to finish ahead of Walter at least and inside the top 4 to guarantee his championship. And he has picked up a drive-through penalty. Remember, there is a 10-point deficit between Luke and also Wards, and there's an 11-point deficit between Stefano and Luke. This is getting ever so tight, ever so dramatic in the championship as well. We love to see it, but unfortunately for the Haas team, they don't want to see it. As we see These two going in towards turn one, side by side between Podimachi and Ticho. Oh, there's just enough space given between the two. Wheel banging, and Ticho is in the lead of the Grand Prix. Podimachi tries to defend, but here we are back with the DRS wide open on towards the Retro Posture straight. Here comes the Haas with the DRS, gets ahead, but nope, Ticho's late to the brakes there as we head through turn four, side by side. But Podimachi is squeezed against the curb there, but he may come back into Ferradura, but not a good idea because you don't want to really go side by side through this particular part of the track. You're guaranteed to run off the circuit. So Ticho, down the inside goes the racing ball. That is Stefano going down the inside there. That was a very late move from the racing ball there, and he's going side by side with Lucas. He knows there's a big chance of winning this championship. And guess what? His teammates in first place. Don't discount out Stefano in P3. This is heartbreak as Slav's fallen down the order into P18. There's been drama for him as he falls all the way to the back of the field. So watch out for Stefano. He's only 11 points behind in the championship, and he needs to finish, I think, at least in the top three, and Luke to fall down the order. And Luke is in the pit lane. What a dramatic race for Luke there as he heads off as the pit lane. But as we head down towards turn one, we're side by side again between the Haas and the racing ball. And look at Stefano defending from Lucas as we go wheel to wheel between these two in the background. Gets shoved off in towards the grass there as Stefano stays in P3. Now both racing balls are P3 and P4. I never guessed Stefano was the one who could be with the championship. But fingers crossed though for Stefano as well in P3. He's 11 points behind Luke, and he needs to finish, I think, inside the top three to win this championship. So watch out for him.
High drama in the early stages of this race. We're only on lap 4. Luke is now all the way falling down the order to P19 with his drive-through penalty. He's got to fight back in this race. He needs to finish well inside the top 10 as long as Stefano doesn't win. But he's in P3 right now. His teammate is in P2. And Luke's only bet right now in this race is his own teammate, Podimachi, who is still in the lead of this race. And he needs to hold off Stefano at all costs in order to have his teammate still have a chance of winning this championship. As we go on towards the start-finish straight once more, Podimachi is leading by 0.4 of a second, but DRS has been employed by Ticho, who is closing the gap once again towards the Haas driver. But this time, is he going to be close enough to go for the move? Fast up a race for the Haas. Is he going to dare to send one to the inside? Not quite, but Haas driver making a mistake. Slight lock-up going in towards turn 1, and now compromising his exit as we go on to the next straight, and that is going to allow Ticho to have a go potentially at Haas. He's going to try and switch to the outside with the help of DRS. It's an easy overtake, and Ticho's now into the lead of this race. And most importantly, he is in a V-Carb, and his championship teammate Stefano is in P3. Podimachi still in between the two V-Carbs. Lucas in P4, Wessel in P5. The Alpine of Thiago currently in P6, and the two Red Bulls in P7 and 8. But I think they still both got their front wing end plates, so that's at least a good start for both of them. And Wards down in P9, but still very much in this fight, very much in this lead train, and he's the last car in that train. After that, there's a massive train to the cars point, almost going 2-3 wide between the two McLarens. That is Luca and Diogo Silva. Sending up the inside, there is Dome going in towards turn 10. Two Mercedes and the two McLarens fighting it out on track just outside the top 10, but we're going to go on to the start finish straight once again. And look at the gap that Ticho has got towards Podimachi. 0.8 of a second, and Stefano is closing the gap towards Podimachi. He's going to try and find a way past. He's going to go up the inside of the Haas, and his teammate is holding up Podimachi into turn 1, and Stefano's got past. Podimachi is down to P3, and it's a V-Carb 1-2 on lap 6. It is huge news for Stefano, because I'm sure his teammate's not going to fight him too much in this race, as he's going to close the gap towards going in towards turn 4. Podimachi already defended to the inside, almost making contact there with Stefano. Going in towards turn 4, sending himself deep, and this allows Lucas to try and find a way past, and he does. And Podimachi has dropped from P1 all the way down to P4 in under 2 laps.
Major changes here in the field now. It's a Racing Bull 1-2, and now they have their hands in the championship. Stefano, I think Ticho and Stefano, I don't think they'll fight too hard. They're both Dutch, but I don't know how close they are in teams or working together. So let's see if Stefano and Ticho do have that team game internship and work together as well, as Lucas goes up to P3. Great move from Lucas as well. Vettel has made up a few places after a dramatic race. Opening start of the Grand Prix, there's been some huge changes here. Stefano from 11th to 2nd, and we always know he's a very quick driver, but unfortunately had a blunder of a qualifying, hence why he's down to P11. Now it's up the field in towards 2nd place. I never thought Stefano could be the one to win this championship, and he still can as well. As it stands, I think Stefano could be on course to win the championship, because he's 1 point behind Wards in terms of the championship after Las Vegas, but here in Brazil he's got a massive gap between himself and Wards and Stefano as well. So He could be the one to win the championship if it stays like this. What can Luke do? What a shame for Lucas Boy. He could have feel sorry for him, but unfortunately it was his mistake, his misdemeanor, and it's self-inflicted. And these mistakes are very costly and punishing. A safety car, at least what Luke needs right now, but unfortunately it seems unlikely. We've got 90 drives in this Grand Prix. Anything could still happen in the Grand Prix in terms of weather, rain, incidents, etc., or driver mistakes. But so far, Stefano looking good in P2, controlling this race, and the beauty of it too. Racing Bull work together to keep the guys at bay, because those two have the DRS and it's very difficult to overtake in a DRS train. So Stefano and Tijo can swap places and control this Grand Prix. And majority of people on the hardcore power tyres, in fact everybody is on the hardcore power tyres. One thing I didn't notice, so it seems like it's going to be hard to medium strategy, which is the best way to go in this Grand Prix. So nobody else doing the ultra strategy, mediums to hards, as we've usually seen this season. But so far, it is Tijo leads. We've pretty much now settled down after a dramatic start in the Grand Prix, where we saw loads of changes with loads of fights, loads of contact between people, and a penalty for Luke as well, down in P19. He's currently 2.9 seconds away from Slav in 18th place, so a long way off the field there, and a painful race for him. But look at Lucas right behind as Devils gets a 3-second time penalty in the Grand Prix, as Lucas there cannot overtake Stefano and stays in P3 for the time being. But what Racing Bull could do, they could swap around every time as well if Lucas and Polymachi get close. But it's been a dreadful start for both Hasses. They were 1 and 3, now they're 4th and 19th. So what a dramatic twist in this Grand Prix already for one of them to be down in 19th and Polymachi to lose the race lead, as now Tijo occupies the race lead in first place, and he's still going for his first win of the season as well. So imagine that. If Tijo gets his first win, Stefano gets the championship, it'll be the icing on the cake here for Racing Bull, because we know Tijo, he's been involved in a lot of drama in his only short amount of presence this season in this race. He's only been around for like 3 or 4 races, but unfortunately been around in a lot of contact and drama as well. And for him to get a race win at the end of the season just tops things off nicely as well, to finally get that win. And Racing Bull to be promoted up to the championship as well. I don't think Racing Bull are close enough in terms of the championship to get first place. It's McLaren who's got that so far. But look at this, going down towards turn 1. Stefano defended from Lucas as he stays behind the Racing Bull. It's a long... Oh, Lucas has retired in the pit lane there, so a second retirement in the Grand Prix. No safety car on this occasion, but here we go. Stefano on the back of his teammate, but not going to go for the move. He's going to be thinking about this methodically and wisely too.
2 V-Cars lead the way here at the Brazilian Grand Prix on lap 9 of 36. Still a long way to go in this race. Lucas in P3, Polymachi in P4. His teammates still down there in P18, but closing the gap towards the rest of the field. Just over 2 seconds right now here on lap 9. Vessel still in a P5 position. It must be said, he's in a good position to score some good points again. His best result of the season is P4, and right now he's driving inside the top 5 still in this lead train, which is closed off by Wards in P9. All he needs to do right now is to stay in this train and hope something bad happens towards Stefano in P2 right now. If Stefano wins this race, then Luke needs to finish inside the top 5 in order to still secure his championship. We go on to lap 10 as Stefano's still following his teammate. There's no plans of overtaking anytime soon, using the battery a little bit to close the gap completely, but is staying behind in the braking zone. And Lucas is still very close behind, occasionally in the braking zone as well as his teammate Thiago. To Vessel there a little bit. There's fighting down in for P12 with Devils going up the inside of Diogo Silva. Must be said, the 2 Aston Martins started down in P19 and P20, and we're on lap 10, and they're both in P10 and P11. So far it's been a great comeback by both of those drivers. Diogo Silva's brought down to P12. As a result of that, Benjamin in his charge back up the field is in P13 after getting spun around early on in the race on the opening lap. Goes all the way down in P19, and is that rain? Actually,
it is. It starts to rain here in Lagos, and it can really throw the spanner in the works here as well, and galvanise this race even more. So rain has been thrown in towards the mix, and we know how difficult it is to overtake as well in the Grand Prix. So, who's going to go first in the pit lane and who's going to go last? I think it's the best. If it rains even more and gets heavier, and we need the intermediate compound tyres, then I think Stefano should be the one to pit first and not stay out later, because he might lose a whole amount of places. But does Tijo want to do that? Is he really going to play the massive T game here as well? Because you've got to pit at the right time as well. Pitting at the right time, be on the right side at the right time. Because if you're 1 lap too late or 1 lap too early, it can really cost you dearly in the Grand Prix too. So he got to pit at the right time. We saw Lucas have a mistake out of Yun Sao, and he's dropped away a little bit. As here comes Stefano, then this could be a change. And look at Tijo defending, and here comes Stefano now alongside his teammate, and he goes almost into the lead of the Grand Prix, side by side. There's contact between the two as well, but Stefano takes the lead of the Grand Prix. It looks like Tijo is not backing off. I don't think he cares about the championship. Really, all this contact between the two. Imagine if these two make contact, and all of a sudden, if Ward is back in range of the championship. This is very intense now. It looks like both racing bulls are not working together from this evidence. I'm not quite sure, but I don't think Tijo really cares about it. He wants to win this race by himself if he can, but I don't think he knows if Stefano is in the championship fight. But here we go. This is thrown into another works they make as well with Stefano and Tijo. They're fighting out for first place. Contact was made, but luckily kept it on the track as Lucas Sport looking interested in the back. And Ward is still there in P9, but it's not enough for Ward to win the championship. To reiterate you, Stefano is 1 point behind Ward in the championship. So as it stands, Stefano will win this championship, but anything else could happen in the Grand Prix too. Vessel's pitted as we head down towards turn 1. Here is Tijo alongside his racing bull teammate, but can't get ahead for the time being, and the door is firmly shut in Tijo's face there. Stefano stays in the lead of the Grand Prix. This is very interesting between both racing bull drivers. They're fighting out for first place. Stefano remains in the lead. We've got a few people pitted, including Wards. Wards is in the pit lane on the intermediates. Is this the right call from the Austrian driver? Let's see if this is the right call then. And if he does make the right call, could he leapfrog the guys ahead on the old hardcore power tyres, as Devils has retired in the pit lane, so no safety car will be thrown in towards the mix. Where's Luke? He's in P12 behind Dome. Let's see if he overtakes him. He can't do so. He's still behind him. But the weather seems like it's getting trickier about a second as well, with all the drivers sliding around and struggling on the hardcore powered tyres. So we might see some more people pit, but it looks heavier. This actually looks heavier, and we could see what's the gap to leader right now between Wards and Stefano. 25 seconds. Bompy is ahead of Wards. I don't know how. Oh yeah, he was ahead of him in that DRS trade. So the gap is 25 seconds. Not really gaining any time. He may gain a few more tenths here and there in the slow speed corners. But here we go then. Stefano is in the pit lane. Or is he? He is. And Tijo stays out there. And here comes Lucas for the lead of the Grand Prix. DRS is still activated as we head down in towards turn 1, as he can't make the move for the time being. DRS is still enabled, but all these guys are tiptoeing their way around this tricky track. And the weather always spices things up here in Brazil as well. It always gives us some fantastic entertainment of racing here as well. And this is very important now. Where will Wards rejoin in this pack? Let's have a look right now to see where he is. Here he comes down the main straight, across the line as we head down in towards 1, 2 and 3. Bob is still ahead of him, but has Stefano done enough to stay out in front of him? Let's have a look right now. He has. Stefano comes to the pit lane, and he's well ahead of him. That's very crucial news indeed for Stefano to win this championship. Vessel's got ahead of Polimachi for P5, and in the background as well, Wards is on the back of the Alpine. Always going to be contact, and he punches him out of the way there, and Wards goes up into P8, and here comes Nick as well. Nick goes through, he's up into P9, and the Alpine gets shoved off the track, left, right and centre. What a poor, that's very poor there, unfortunately for Thiago, as he got bossed out of the way there.
Tijo out on track still, but he's going to lose a lot of time with having to pit out later as Nick and Bart fighting it out. And there's contact between the two, and Bart's almost getting spun around by the Red Bull driver, and he's back down to P9 as DRS has been disabled, which is usually a sign that things are quick. And Vessel has made a mistake. Vessel has gone off in the Ferrari. He was in a net P2 position, but now he is dropped behind Boomje and Podemachi and will be in P4. But let's take a look at where Tijo is going to come out, because he lost many seconds with having to stay out one more lap. That was because Stefano was ahead of him before having to pull into the pit lane as he makes his way down the start finish straight. He's got a lead of 1.6 seconds now towards Podemachi. So a healthy lead for one of our championship contenders, and they already got past Tijo, who's yet to come out of the pit lane. So is Lucas and Slav all having a pit on this lap. Stefano leads. Podemachi is going to go into second place. Boomje is going to be in P3. A bit of a mistake there once again down by Vessel, and that is going to allow Wards to slip underneath. And Wards now finds himself inside the top 5. Tijo comes out just ahead of him in P4, and Lucas comes out all the way down in P8 behind Nick. But look how close it is here between Vessel and Wards in P5 and P6. But Wards certainly has gained some positions with this pit stops. He is now inside the top 5, but as long as Stefano is in P1, he has no chance of winning this championship. What about Luke? He's still down there in P16, so he hasn't gained anything with pitting a lap earlier than some of these drivers. So he still has got a lot of work to do in order to catch up, and he's going to have to overtake some drivers. And being it in the wet, it's going to be even more difficult for our championship leader, who still sits outside the points-paying positions. At the front, Stefano leads, but Podemachi, he is closing in. The gap was 1.6 at the beginning of this lap. Now it's 1.1 seconds, so the Haas driver is showing some pace already in the wet. Boompje in P3, but for how much longer? Because Tycho is already at the back of the Red Bull driver going down the start-finish straight. And he's a little bit in the slipstream there as well, deploying some battery. Tycho is closing the gap towards the Red Bull, and he's going to dare to go the long way around the outside inward turn 1, but Boompje later on the brakes and is able to maintain that position. His backman is also going sideways in towards turn 1. Definitely seems to be struggling in these wet conditions, as Boompje still stays in that P3 position, but Tycho is looking to try and find a way past as soon as possible. Now closing in once again, wants to go the wrong around the outside again, but still is not going to be able to find that space as Boompje defends the inside line successfully, as Al pulls in the pit lane, and he becomes our 4th retirement in this race. By going wheel to wheel up towards turn 5, and Tycho's going to try to go the long way around the outside of the Red Bull. This around the road, goes onto the grass and loses the position to Wars, who's now up into P4, and the Kick Sauber driver is now looking at the back of Boompje for a potential podium finish and putting himself back in this championship fight.
He is indeed. He's just behind Boompje, and he'll catch up to Podemachi too. He's got some great pace, but Boompje's touched the grass in towards turns, and he goes deep in the corner, and through goes Ward. He's up at a P3. Look at Nick in the back on tail, taking on Tycho. Tycho hasn't recovered from his incident up towards turn 6 and turn 7. He's dropped down another place. Vessel's gone through. Nick has gone through. He's down into P7. Can Ward catch Podemachi? And it could be a top 2 fight between Ward and Stefano for the championship fights. But I think Stefano still will get the championship because he's 1 point behind Wars going in towards this race. And let me have a look right now to see if that is the case. I can't work it out mathematically. Yes, it is. It is the case as well, because the gap between first and third is about 6 points as well. So the gap between first and second in the championship. Oh, Tycho's made a big mistake. And here comes Lucas. He had great pace earlier on, but he's lost all his consistency and momentum. And now Lucas is on the back of the Racing Bull as we head down in towards turn 4. 20 laps left to go. And so far, there is no hope for Luke at all in this Grand Prix. Still in P15 all the way to the back of the field. He needs to finish at least in the top 5 to try and still seal this championship. But it's not going his way at all. He's still down there. And the thing he wants the most is a safety car. I think a safety car, realistically, is the only way he can be brought back in contention with the championship. Because if Luke finishes outside those points, Stefano and Ward needs to finish at least about, I think, outside in 5th and 6th place. So this is bad news for Luke, because he sees his championship rivals 1st and 3rd, and that's the last thing he wants as well. I think he had it all in his hands, but unfortunately got a bit too greedy at the VSC restart. He should have played it safe, because he knew Stefano's was behind, he knew Ward's was behind, but unfortunately picked up that 10-second penalty, that drive-through penalty, and it was costly. And it could be the reason why I lost the championship here today in this Grand Prix, but not over yet so far. We're almost halfway into this race. Here comes Tycho on Nick. These two make contact on lap 24 at the Las Vegas Grand Prix. But so far, so clean from these two. In fact, they made contact, didn't they, in turn 3 on lap 1, and it cost them both because they dropped down the order dramatically. Well, Tycho was alright, but Nick dropped down quite a few places, and he's been playing catch up ever since. He's down in P6 so far. Both Red Bulls did a good job, but where's Bob? He's still in P4 after Ward overtook him. Podemachi can't bring the gap down. He's actually losing time towards Ward's behind him. Ward's is catching him slowly but surely as well. The gap between himself and Podemachi is 1.7 seconds. Can Ward end this on a high still? Not win the championship, but get the podium for the final race here in Brazil, while Stefano gets the championship. But if things stand right now, Stefano will win this championship, and what an amazing championship it's been. What a rollercoaster it's been for Stefano, because I never expected him to be the one to win this championship, but the pendulum swings either way in different races. You never know what happens. It's been an unpredictable season so far, as Stefano's done a really good job. Nick! Oh! The Tycho's lost his front wing behind Nick. It's usually Nick who loses wing, but this time Tycho has lost his wing, and he hit the back of it because Nick made a mistake out of Gulio, and here comes Tycho now side by side with the Red Bull driver, and let's see what happens. Here comes Lucas now through, as we see the Racing Bull in the pit lane to change his front wing. What a dismal race. I say Tycho every time. Every time he races, he has good pace, and he's taking pole, and he has a chance to win. But like I said, something just happens to ruin his race and further dent it, and he rejoins all the way to the back of the field then. But We're halfway in towards this race. We're halfway there for this championship to end. And so far, Stefano leads his Grand Prix by 2 seconds. What a dream start for Stefano, as Lucas is right behind Nick, but unable to make a move going down towards turn 4. What a dream it's been for Stefano in first place, who came to the season and he had a puncher back in Saudi Arabia. He lost a win towards Giroud in the first race of the season. He had a lot of DNSs as well. He did not take part in any of the Grand Prix. But every single time he's taken part, he's shown some blistering quick pace. And if Stefano wins, what does he win? The title, no matter what Ward does. Yes. So basically, if Ward finishes second place, Stefano will still win this championship because the points gap between first and second is 16 points for first, 12 points for second. That means it's 4 points. Stefano's 1 point behind Ward's currently in the championship. But when this race ends, and if it stands like this, if Ward's finishes in P2, Stefano will still win the championship. So basically, Wars needs to finish ahead of Stefano to win his championship. And Luke needs to finish inside the top 5 to still be the champion, but it's unlikely. He's quite far behind. Here comes Mattia Manga, who had a qualifying ban. He's up into P8, but he's back down again. And we see Lucas now going in towards Tier 1. Yeah, Ward has to win basically to win his championship, but it still could happen. He's got some good pace. It's all about time management, etc. Can Ward catch Stefano? I'm not quite sure in terms of this pace, and we know how difficult it is to overtake in Brazil in the rain. So Ward's got a lot of work to do, and he's got to overtake the Haas of Palimachi if he can. But the gap keeps fluctuating. It doesn't seem he's got the pace to overtake Palimachi for the time, but he'll get closer. It's a stalemate right now for him in P3. He's keeping Bompio at bay for the time being. And look at Vessel in P5. A really good job, under radar drive there for the Ferrari driver. He finished in 4th place in Imola, but he's been lingering outside the top 10 most of the time this season. Had a few good results here and there. He's on the back of Bompio. Could be on course for P4 once again for the Ferrari driver.
Stefano leads this race with 17 laps remaining, but Ward has been the quickest driver of these 3 on the past 2 laps, only by a few thousandths or a few hundredths of a second, but he is showing some good pace, and the gap's 1.5 towards Podemachi, who in his turn is 1.5 behind Stefano. He's desperately trying to close that gap towards Stefano, but even if he does overtake Stefano and Stefano finishes in P2, he would still clinch the title as long as Luke is outside the points. Because all he needs is a second place with the Haas, our championship leader, outside the points. And Ward, he too would need a second place as long as Stefano doesn't win and Luke is outside the points. But we've got still a long way to go in this race. Polamachi, he is still close, and if there's one mistake for Stefano, Polamachi could still be very much back in the fight, as Dome has retired from this race inside the pit lane. Becomes our 5th retirement of this race. But doesn't gain Luke a position. He's still down there in B14, and like we said, in this rain he hasn't really shown anything, hasn't been able to show some pace, and he's still stuck there down in B14. He's got a battle up ahead of him between Schlav and Neppel for B12, but even if he does overtake both of them, he's still down there in B12 and a good 4 seconds behind Diogo Silva and B11, and he just needs a top 5 finish, a top 4 finish in order to win, and at the moment it is not looking likely, but there's still of course 16 laps remaining. Anything can happen. A safety car could throw everything around in this race, but at the moment it is Stefano who has got the best cards, as he leads the way while 1.6 seconds ahead of Polamachi. Ward is chasing these two, and the gap towards Boomtje is now almost 4 seconds. In the Red Bull, who is getting chased by Wessel, who is trying to match his best result of the season, which would be P4, but he is in a Red Bull sandwich, and that's quite a dangerous sandwich to be in this season. Slightly later on the brakes towards turn 1, and on the exit, can he get a better run? He might actually be able to, as Boomtje is struggling for grip, and now Wessel is very close to the back of the Red Bull, but a bit of a moment as himself coming out of the corner, and he doesn't seem to be close enough to have any chance of overtaking, and is staying behind. Lucas in P7 is also trying to find his way to the front. He is very close to the back of Nick, but himself got a moment out. He's going to try and go along around the outside in towards turn 5. The Alpine and the Red Bull going wheel to a bit of contact between the two. Lucas runs out wide, loses traction, but unfortunately for him stays in P7. But Mattia Mag is going to send one to the inside there, going in towards turn 7. Aston Martin now is on the outside though, and is unable to find the grip to pull that move off. But Lucas is desperately trying to find a way past Nick, and Mattia Manga is trying to capitalize from that. He's in P8 right now. Thiago's down in P9 and unable to stay within the 1 second window of the guys in front. The train that is being led by Boomtje and Benjamin. He has got the final point in hands right now, but he is looking close to the back of the Alpine as well to try and steal that P9 away. In the meantime, Luke has found the way past Napple. Something must have happened between himself and Schlas now is looking in P13, looking at the back of the Williams, but now the start-finish straight we go. And it's still very close. And Wards, in the meantime, the gap's now 1 second between himself and Podamacci. And Podamacci is 1.3 seconds behind Stefano. So these three are getting closer to each other every single lap. It's only a few hundreds, but this battle is spicing up between these three for the win in this race. So it's not over yet for Wards. It might be over for Luke though, who's still down in P13. But we've got 14 laps to go after this. And Stefano just needs to hold on to this P1 position. Even if he does get overtaken by Podamacci, all he needs to do is just stay ahead of Wards as long as Luke is outside the points.
It is indeed. Does Wards have the outright pace? He's getting closer and closer towards Podamacci. Same with Podamacci, who's getting closer towards Stefano too. So could we see a battle between the top three? Can Wards try and get past Podamacci one way or another and focus on Stefano? Do you know what? This is going to be a ding-dong battle because Wards and Stefano, what they need to do to win the championship is to get ahead of each other. Easier said than done, of course, and especially in the rain. The rain seems to intensify as every single lap is getting heavier and heavier, but I doubt we see the wet compound tyres. It's all about managing as well, keep it on the road. Benjamin gets ahead of Thiago, up into P9 he goes ahead of the RP driver who has picked up podiums in the last few races. He's been a driver to watch out for ever since he appeared back in Kota, but he's coming back on the Ferrari as we head down in towards turn 1. Can he get ahead? Let's see, but the Ferrari just outbreaks him, but Thiago's still there with side by side in towards turn 1 and turn 2, but the Ferrari has the inside line and block passes him and goes up into P9. Does the Ferrari stays ahead for the time being then. Wards is still wants to come back. Massive oversteer for Thiago on board on the Red Bull driver, headed down in towards turn 4. Look at these guys just drifted to the corner, not doing their tyres any diligence whatsoever, as they're struggling for grip, and the rain gets heavier and heavier too on the old intermediates. They're going to struggle. Oh, Nick loses the car, and through goes the Red Bull, through goes the Aston Martin, Mattia Manga, and Lucas as well. Look at Wards. This is very crucial now for the Kick Sauber. He is 8 tenths behind Podamacci. Podamacci's lost a little bit of time towards Stefano as well. So how great is his weather skills? How great is his time management in this Grand Prix? You know what? This championship is getting more and more intense as the race goes on. Look at this. Podamacci made a mistake out of Judson. Went a bit deep in the corner, which gives Wards all the encouragement he needs to get closer and closer and to overtake him. There is 13 laps left to go in the Grand Prix, and the rain just gets ever more intense every single lap as well as we head down in towards turn 1. No DRS, of course, in the wet weather conditions, but I don't think it will turn dry later on in the Grand Prix, so it might stay wet for the whole race. Can Wards overtake Podamacci, who seems to be struggling in the Haas every single corner, seems to be drifting and missing his braking point? Also got less ERS in comparison towards the Sauber 2, as Stefano goes a bit wide there through turn 4 as well, so he may be struggling just a bit as Wards is super close. Look at Podamacci just struggling. So we could see a top 2 fight for the championship between Wards and Stefano. Lucas pitted again, but he's pitting probably because his intermediate compound tyres are dying and fading away. Maybe the Inters are starting to now reach the end of their performance. And as you see, every single driver just struggling on the track. Lucas goes up the inside there. Nice move up the inside ahead of Vessel, but Vessel fights back in towards the turn 6 and turn 7 complex, the corners. Let's see if he can try and get ahead or stay ahead. They're side by side going in towards turn 10 there. The Alpine just has the inside line. Benjamin Nick swapping places there for P8 and P9 there. Benjamin goes up the inside in towards turn 10. He was under pressure from Thiago, but Thiago's dropped backwards there. But I want to go back on board with Wards because he is right behind Podamacci's gearbox, and could he look for a move? He can't afford to be stuck behind there too long because he needs the laps to fight Stefano as we head through turn 1. All Wards is looking for is a small mistake of Podamacci to get through him and focus on P1. P1 is right there. The championship is right there in front of him, but there's a roadblock, which is the Haas of Podamacci. Podamacci doing all he can as Vessel and Aston Martin side by side. Where is he? There he is. Mattia Manga goes up into P6. It seems like there's so many drivers fighting for traction. Reminder of 2012 championship where we saw the weather affected a lot of drivers, including Fernando Alonso in 2012 in turn number 3, I think it was, where he almost lost the car as well. And we saw plenty of crashes in the race. We saw Paul Di Resta at the top of Judson. Crash caused caused a safety car and Jensen Button won in the mixed conditions while Sebastian Vettel clinched his third World Championship. Sebastian Vettel as well, I think, is the last driver to win a championship here in Brazil. I know it's like, oh, Stefano in towards turn 10, goes a bit deep in the corner too. It seems like all these guys are struggling for traction, and one mistake, it takes one mistake, and it could have a massive pendulum swing in the championship. Wards, though, can he find a way past Panimachi? He wants to get past desperately, but he just can't seem to get close enough to force the Haas into an unforced error.
Gap is now 4/10 of a second, and he is still closing that gap as we go on to lap 26, 11 laps remaining. I do wonder if these drivers are going to pull in for another pit stop like Luke has. He's at the moment still the only driver to make 2 pit stops in this race, as Wards is still unable to have a real go at the Haas driver just ahead of him. But he's closing the gap every single lap as Lucas sends one to the inside there of Boompje going in towards turn 1. The Red Bull still there, going towards turn 2. There's a bit of contact between the two on the exit. The Alpine though, he's got the inside line, but Boompje finds the traction to hold it around the outside. But now, with a bit of a moment, Lucas is able to pull ahead of the Red Bull driver. Now going towards turn 4. Is Boompje going to switch to the inside to go back up the inside again? He's going to try to do that. Lucas runs out slightly wide, and now Boompje is still back there up the inside. Nick is fighting out the vessel as well, so Lucas now finally gets the position, and he's up into P. But still very much close to the back of the Alpine. He's going to send to the inside there of turn 6. Not really a place to go for the move. And now has the inside line going into turn 7. But Lucas, with the outside, will turn it to the inside to the next one. Now Mattia Mang is going to have a go up the inside of Boompje, trying to capitalize from the move that Boompje is trying to make on the Alpine. But still, he's going to go run deep in towards turn 10. Mattia Mang slips underneath.
Milan, look at this. Polimachi is right behind Stefano. Stefano is really struggling, so sorry to interrupt, but this could be the most pivotal part of this Grand Prix. The championship could swing around in the favour of Wards. Here comes Polimachi with the battery, with the slipstream. Can he make a move on the inside? Stefano defends. They're going in towards turn 1, forcing Polimachi to go around the outside there. Nothing doing, but can he set himself up at turn 2 and turn 3 to get him down into towards turn 4? Now this championship swindle towards the reciprocal straight in towards turn 4, but Polimachi stays behind for the time being. Stefano, the 2 guys are behind him, which one of them is the championship contender of Wards in P3. And let's see, can Stefano hold on? Can Wards get past? It seems his tyres are fading and he's lacking confidence, lacking grip. And look at Wards though, look at this, in towards turn 8. Is he going to dare someone to the inside? He will! Up towards turn 8. Can he get his stick? As we head through turn 9 now, he can't get past for the time being, but can he get in towards turn 10? Can he try and get himself up towards turn 10? I don't think he can.
It is getting spicy in this race. We've got just under 10 laps to go. Stefano leads, but is still going wide through turn 10. And Polimachi is under massive pressure from Wards there in the Kicksauer. Very close on the exit once again, 0.2 of a second. They're both struggling for traction. DRS deployed for the Kicksauer. Is he going to be able to close that gap enough to have a real opportunity to find a way past? I don't think he has. He's still 0.3 of a second behind, and Polimachi is using that battery as well, trying to fend against the Kicksauer going in towards turn 1. He's going to cover the inside line off, and Wards has to stay behind still and try and cover the move again. Now on the exit, can he get a better run? Potentially out of turn 3. Doesn't look like it right now, as the Haas is almost sideways there, coming out of the corner, but still is able to maintain that second place over the Kicksauer as we go in towards turn 4. Stefano is still leading this race, and at the moment Polimachi is having to look more behind him than ahead of him, even though he was fighting it out with Stefano a few laps ago. Now he's suddenly under big pressure from Wards, who needs to get past the Haas driver as quickly as possible to still have any opportunity to go for the championship. Polimachi goes slightly deep in towards turn 7, but still makes that corner, and Wards is unable to find a move as he's getting closer and closer and closer to every single lap. But it's so difficult to find any gap in these conditions, and it's so difficult to get a better traction zone as they're all struggling for grip in this race. Polimachi is drifting out a little bit wide. Wards taking a tighter line as he goes towards the final braking zone on this lap. He's once again very close to the back, but look how much he has to struggle. Look how much he's struggling under traction. And now 0.3 of a second. I don't think it's going to be enough. He's going to be close in the gap. He's going to try and line up a move going in towards turn 1, but it's going to have to be from a long way back, and he doesn't dare to. And he's closing the gap on the braking zone. Goes slightly deep in towards turn 1 as well, as we have got 7 laps to go after this one. Stefano now has built a 1 second lead towards Podolacci and is doing everything he needs to do in order to win this championship. As long as Ward stays behind him, he has got nothing to worry about. Luke is down in P15. He has switched to the other side of intermediates, but at the moment it's not really working for him. And even if he does catch Tycho and Napple, he would still only be in P13. Tycho actually down in P14. Not sure what happened to the RB driver, but Luke down in P15. It's a hopeless race from him. After that drive-through penalty for speeding in PC conditions, ever since so, it has all gone downhill for our championship leader, and the real fight for the championship is now between Stefano and Wards, and the gap towards Podolacci is now 1.3, 1.4 seconds, going way too deep once again, going in towards turn 10. The Haas driver really struggling on these old intermediates. Remember, these are 16, 17 lap old intermediates, so they will be struggling from tire grip as well. The tires are starting to fade, and they still have to do another 7 laps on these tires if they want to bring it to the end. But at the moment, Podolacci is still doing just enough to hold off Wards, but as long as Stefano's in the he will be clinching the championship at the end of this race.
Wards is just looking for that one mistake. Podolacci's doing a great job. He was attacking Stefano, but now probably caught off balance and lost his momentum. Now he's under pressure for Wards in P3. So can he defend against Wards? Wards is just so frustrated, so flustered to be stuck behind Haas, knowing his championship rival is ahead of the Haas man. He's an obstacle in the way, essentially, is Podolacci. And Wards can do anything to put Podolacci offline or into a unforced error as we go through turn 6 and turn 7 right now. He tried it a few laps ago, going down in towards turn 8 with Nico Hulkenberg spun back in 2010, but unable to do anything about it going now in towards turn 8. Those speed corners through turn 9 and turn 10. Turn 10 is another place to overtake, but of course was in contact towards that corner before back in 2019 between Lewis Hamilton and Alex Albon, but this time round he just can't seem to look for a way past and stop behind it once again. Look at these massive, as Benjamin is the first driver in this race to get a 3-second penalty, but we're watching this battle between Wards and Podolacci, both struggling, both having massive wheel spin. Podolacci is under massive pressure as Wards has saved a lot of ERS. He's closer than before, using the battery, using the slipstream behind the Haas. Could he get him down towards turn 1? But in response, Podolacci uses the battery to defend against the Sauber driver. Can he go down the inside as we head in towards turn 1? Yes, he is. Down the inside he goes in towards turn 1. It has to be a clean move, and it is. Can he get ahead? Not fully though, but yes, he is. In towards turn 2. Wards is taking P2 away from Podolacci, and now can set his sights on Stefano in first place. There is 5 laps left to go. Can Wards overtake Stefano? That was a clean, clinical move, and he needed that to finally get past the Haas, and he's got 5 laps to try and get Stefano. This championship is spicing up, not between Luke, but between Wards and Stefano. Unexpected championship fight between these two, and in order for these two to win the championship, they have to get ahead of each other, as Stefano is so far. Remember, he struggled a few laps ago. He lost a lot of time towards Wards and Podolacci. He had a big gap right behind them, in front of him. But can Wards do it? He's 1.5 seconds behind. Needs to save a bit of battery though, because he used a lot of it. But now he can set his sights on Stefano ahead. Who is it going to be? Is it the Austrian of Wards in second place? He's still going for his first win. Remember, Wards hasn't won a race this season. Oh, just don't make mistakes now. Go towards Maguli. He just cut the corner a little bit. But remember, he hasn't got a win this season, has Wards. He's still going for his first win. Can he get the championship and his first win? That would be something achievable as well. Can Stefano defend against Wards? Does he have the pace? We're about to find out now in these dying stages of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Just one more drive for Wards. And Stefano, he's got the championship contender of Wards right behind him too.
The gap is 1.3 seconds as we go on to lap 32 of 36. There's 5 laps remaining. It has taken Wards quite a long time to get past Podolacci, but now he's in clean air and trying to close that gap towards race leader and championship rival Stefano. It is 1.4. He needs to close that gap in a few laps time. He doesn't have much time left. It is all or nothing in these final few laps. It is for the championship. Podolacci is in P3. He's starting to fall off. He's definitely run out of tire wear, and he seems to be struggling in this race. There's nothing he could have done for his teammate, unfortunately, in this race. Is down in P14. But Wards versus Stefano for the championship, as the rain is starting to get lighter now, as it compared to quite a few laps ago. So at least we don't have to worry about losing so much tire grip, but still these tires are getting older and older. 19, 20 laps has Wards done on intermediates, and still he is closing the gap towards Stefano. The gap's now 1.1 at the end of the 32nd lap. He is on a mission, and he is hunting down our race leader down to 1.2 and using the battery down the start-finish straight. And with 4 laps to go, can he do it? Can he close that gap, cooling the tires on the start-finish straight? It is 1.2 with just a handful of laps remaining this season in this race around what has been a phenomenal Brazilian Grand Prix so far. But can he get any better for Ward, or will it be Stefano to hold on to this lead of the race and to the championship in the end of the race? But for the match in P3, Lucas in P4, Boompje, Mattia Manger, they're all in P5, P6, there's nothing they can do to adjust this fight. And Ward's now 8 tenths of a second, 7 tenths of a second. Slight mistake for Stefano, and Ward, he is getting closer lap by lap by lap. I'm not sure how he's doing it on 21 lap old intermediates, but still, he is finding the grip where the other drivers can't, and he is closing that gap. But there's only 3 laps to go after this one. Is it going to be enough? Is it going to be enough time for him to get close enough? Or will it be Stefano to hold on? He is saving up the battery as well in order to defend successfully on these final few laps. They're all struggling for grip so much at the end of this race. But who is going to struggle the most and who is going to hold on? We go on to lap 34 of 36, the final 3 laps of this PSGL PSF3 season. And it's the fight between these two, Stefano and Ward. And Ward hasn't really gained some hundredths of a second here and there, but he's also losing some time in the final sector as well. So at the moment, Stefano is doing just enough to maintain the lead of this race and the lead of the championship. But if he makes just a slight of mistakes, Ward can be back in the fight for the lead of the championship.
He is indeed. He's just looking for that one small mistake. There is 3 laps left to go, and it's coming down to his boiling points here in PSGL F3 this season. Stefano versus Wards, going down right to the wire too. Like you said, it's getting lighter and lighter, the rain, so obviously we're not going to see the dry cup tyres. Maybe it might not stop raining towards the end, but we'll see. Does Wards have the outright pace? Benjamin gets ahead of Bobby, the side-by-side going towards Ferradura. Let's see what happens between the Red Bull and the Ferrari. Benjamin goes all the way on the outside there, goes slightly wide, and Bobby rejoins with a bit of contact too for good measure. But Wards in front in first place. Stefano in first place has gained a bit of time on Wards. The gap is 1.1 seconds, so it keeps dipping in and out of that lucrative as Bobby goes defensive going in towards turn 10 with Benjamin right behind, switching line.